Hey everyone, welcome to video 3 of our M13 booster draft pack cracking. In our first two videos, we first pick things like Searing Spear or the Intimidate Boar, and we're looking at pack 3 here. We're going to go ahead and assume that we're looking at pack 1, pick 1 again, but once again we'll reference our first two packs that might have influenced our decisions if we were doing this continuously. And looking at our packs, if these were our draft packs, we definitely would have been committing to red-green because the things that we're opening is all red-green in terms of strong picks, in my opinion.
Yeah, I still like going with the first pick, first pack, though, or first pack, first pick, just to kind of try and figure out what you would take if you had no other cards. I'm pretty sure it's a green card.
Yeah.
There's 4 very strong green cards in this pack. There's the rare is Predatory Rampage, so this is like the different version of Overrun. So it gives all you guys +3/+3, and then each creature has to block. Or each creature your opponent controls has to block if able.
So you don't get trampled, but they have to throw everybody in front of you.
Yeah, generally, I had this card in a draft, and what this generally ends up being is rather than alpha striking them like you would with Overrun, where you're just like, all right, how much toughness do you have? How much power do I have if I cast Overrun? Do simple subtraction, you're dead. This is more of a, like, you have a couple creatures in play. I have a couple creatures in play. I'm just going to kill 2 or 3 of your creatures, which is definitely a very powerful effect for 5 mana. This guy is also good too. He's a 4/4 for 5, and whenever another creature with power 3 or greater comes into play, you draw a card. Green has enough of those that this guy will let you draw a couple extra cards, and he has a perfectly reasonable body. Prey Upon is the green common removal spell. Very strong. It's very cheap. It costs 1 green, lets one of your guys fight one of their guys. So if you have like a 3/3 or bigger, generally this will kill like a 2/2 or 2/3.
Something, a pesky flyer, one of those death touch guys.
Yep. And the other good green card in here is Titanic Growth. This is just a very good trick.
Strictly better than the white one we just talked about in video 2.
Yep, exactly. So I'm pretty sure it's one of the green cards here. And actually the real question is which green card is better. You know, generally, if this was actually Overrun, like say this, you know, was Overrun as a rare or whatever, I would think Overrun would be the pick. Overrun just tends to like win you games that sometimes you have no business of winning. So that's nice. Sometimes Predatory Rampage will still win you the game. I'm leaning towards this card. It's a rare. It has a very powerful effect on the board, and sometimes you do just alpha strike them. Like if they don't have a lot of creatures to block, and you have like 3 guys out, you're still going to get in an extra 6 points of damage. So it's like a souped up lava axe, which is perfectly reasonable. If Rampage wasn't in the pack, so like if someone had first picked this and then I got this pack, I would still take a green card. I would probably take Prey Upon. It's pretty close with this guy, but I'm pretty sure that it's such a strong removal spell that I'd rather have Prey Upon than this guy. The problem with this guy, and like he's still a good guy because he's reasonably sized, and sometimes you'll get a bonus and draw an extra card or 2 with him. The problem is that though generally you want to play your guys before him, so like your Centaur courses and stuff, you want to play those before you play this guy. You don't want to sit there and wait and deny yourself turns and then play this guy and then play your 3/3. So I'm pretty sure it's Prey Upon, then Pack Leader, then Titanic Growth. That's the order I would do it in.
And I guess since we're assuming that this is pack 1, pick 1, or maybe pick 2, definitely we're looking at, like you said, Rampage or Prey Upon. Let's say we're assuming this is maybe pack 2 or something like that. Maybe you've drafted Arborels or some of those other cards. I think there is a point where Grook's Pack Leader might become more valuable than Prey Upon if you can get him out earlier.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a little bit of acceleration or whatever, the problem though again is like if you like say you lead off with an Arborel, like say your hand is like Elf, Courser, Pack Leader, and then like 4 land, which is a perfectly reasonable keep. You still want to play your Courser on turn 2. Like you don't want to wait till turn 4 to play this guy and then play your Courser on turn 5. Your 3/3 loses a lot of impact at that point. But having a 3/3 on turn 2 has such a huge impact that like there's no way I would skip doing that just to draw 1 extra card with it. So I'm pretty sure I would still take a Prey Upon even if you've got like elves and like a couple 3 power guys or whatever. In terms of the non-green cards, again, Essence Scatter, this is perfectly reasonable. One of Blue's better commons, probably arguably its best common since there's no Adept in the set. And after that, Kindled Fury is fine. I actually like this card. I tend to like tricks though in limited, so this is actually a nice trick. It's really cheap, and generally you're gonna kill one of their guys for it, so you're gonna get a better trade off because you're gonna kill a better guy for your Kindled Fury.
Yep.
Chandra's Fury is actually not unreasonable either. I think this is a little bit better than Lava Axe was. It's an instant, so that's nice. And also the fact that sometimes they'll have like a couple X1s, guys with 1 toughness. And the fact that you can kill all their guys or whatever. I actually won, I think, a couple games at the pre-release with this card, and I was playing one. Either just doming them for 4 or killing like 3 of their guys and doming them for 4. So this card's, I think, fine.
And I think the nice thing about Chandra's Fury here is there's perfectly reasonable situations where you can play it before and after combat on your turn, and not just theirs, depending on the situation. Where if you play it before combat, it puts them in a situation where they know they're going to have to block and creatures are going to die, or they're going to die. At the same time, it also can mop up guys where they thought they had safe blocks and things like that. It's a versatile card, and not only wiping the board and doming them for 4, but make some of their combat decisions really bad for them.
Yeah, this card doesn't look as good, I think, as people maybe give it credit for. Again, not in the same league of quality as like these cards, but still, I think a
you're not taking this
card
first by any means.
Yeah, Mark of the Vampire actually isn't a bad card either. If they don't have a way to kill the guy that you throw this on, a lot of times you might just win the game with it. So this is a decent card too. It doesn't look as great because it's a 4-mana enchantment, and generally 4-mana enchantments for creatures tend to be a little like, I don't know if I want any of that, but I actually think this card's decent. And there is a common hexproof guy actually, the green guy, the 3/3 for 4. So if you pick up like a couple of those guys, you can actually start taking these a little bit higher and have the kind of invisible stalker deck of the format, as it were.
And there's some decent black creatures out there too, if you're looking at black and things like that. So definitely, I've in a couple of drafts that I've played against, I felt the pain of my opponent having Mark of the Vampire and creatures that I didn't have immediate ways to deal with, as I watched turns of my aggressive deck being wiped away by someone I didn't have a direct answer for.
Yep. Visionary is another fine card too. Again, another green card, but you're perfectly happy playing this guy. He's a 1/1. At worst, he just soaks up some damage, blocks like a 3/3 or bigger, and gains you 3 or 4 life. But you net a card in the process, and people were perfectly reasonable playing cards like Surveilling Sprite and Oculus and stuff. So this guy kind of fills that same vein. Hatchling is, I think, probably not very good. The fact that you need a lot of red for this to work, and the fact that he doesn't do anything. Like if you have an aggressive start where you start off with this guy turn 2, and then you want to play a guy in turn 3, and then you want to play a guy in turn 4, this guy like does nothing for 2 or 3 turns. Yeah, in the later game when you have a bunch of mountains, he's a little bit better. So
yeah, but like as you said, playing that guy in turn 2, your opponent's going to know that you're going to have to give up any hopes of turn 3 or 4 plays if you're planning on attacking with it, or vice versa.
Yeah,
it puts them in a great situation knowing your 2-drop isn't going to do anything as long as you feel like playing something.
Yeah, exactly. This guy's much better on like turn 7 when like you're out of gas basically and you're looking for a way to finish off the game. This guy can do that. So I'd almost rather than thinking of him as a 2-drop, you might want to think of him as like a delayed fireball. Like you play him when you have 7 or 8 mana or 6 mana or however much, and then you get in there for like 4 or 5 points of damage. So that's probably a better way to look at this guy. And some of the other cards in here, there's Jace's Phantasm. It's like a flying man that becomes a dragon if they have 10 or more cards in their graveyard. I'm not sure how I feel about this guy. The problem is he obviously synergizes well with Mind Sculpt, because probably one Mind Sculpt will make him a dragon. So I don't know, like maybe you can Mise and kill someone with this, almost Delver style. But the problem is that like now you're playing a card like Mind Sculpt and a card like Jace's Phantasm, and you're doing 2 different things, right? Like Mind Sculpt's like trying to kill them by decking them, and this guy's trying to kill them by attacking them for 5 points of damage. So it's in a really weird spot, I think.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think playing against the deck that I mentioned in the other video where my opponent opened Jace and had a couple Mind Sculpts, he did have Jace's Phantasm, but he never really attacked with them because he didn't have a direct answer for my creatures, who were generally better than his, but he said at the same time he eventually had this 5/5 sitting there but it didn't do much, you know.
It can block. I mean,
It
that's I guess maybe one argument in favor in the mill deck is that like,
Mhm.
hey, you get a 1-mana 5/5, which
Yeah.
is a pretty awesome blocker, right? Like it's
For
gonna
sure.
block pretty much anything, and it even blocks flyers. So versus like either the white or the if they're a blue aggressive deck with Welkin Turns and Windrakes, this guy will block all those things all day. So I mean, maybe this guy's actually not that bad in those decks if rather than trying to kill them by just 5ing them. But I mean, to be fair, you only need 4 hits with this guy, so
Yeah.
He might actually be decent.
Yeah,
in the mill
depending on what
decks.
your draw is, which
Yeah,
is more
yeah,
effective.
maybe you hit him with a Mind Sculptor too, and then you totally run out of gas. You get a little bit flooded, but you have this guy, and then you just like start attacking, and their draw's a little slow. So I don't know. Maybe he might actually be a little bit better than like I'm giving him initial credit for. So,
But like you said, the Blues run into the challenge of we're looking at all these blue cards that we've opened. We've looked at Essence Scatter a couple times. We've seen the courtly, combat tricks, attacking, blocking guy. The Vidalcan Entrancer in the other video. Divination and Archaeomancer in our other 3 packs. Now we're assuming once again these are pack 1 pick ones, but in this pool of packs, blue was not strong, and seeing Jace's Phantasm and let's say theoretically this was pack 3, he's not very appealing at all.
yeah, well, the real problem is when one of your best commons is Essence Scatter rather than a card like Ether Adept. That should show you why blue is a lot weaker, I think, in this limited format than it was in M12. So,
yeah, I think that says a lot because in general, I know in M12, if I remember my drafts correctly, one of the strongest strategies for me, and maybe it's the way I played, was draft the flyers. Flying.
Yeah, well, it was a very aggressive format too with the Bloodthirst creatures and stuff.
That's true.
So, Ether Adept is obviously shines in multiple scenarios where if they have the really aggressive start, he helps reset the tempo. If you have the really aggressive start, you keep pushing them back. So, I mean, the raw flexibility of Ether Adept is I think, really good. But yeah, I'm pretty sure first pick I would take this. Again, I'm not 100% sure that this is better than Prey Upon. Likely it is, so I'm pretty sure I would take Rampage.
Okay, so like I said, we're looking at Predatory Rampage is most likely the first pick. Prey Upon is looking at second, and then we are looking at Garruk's Pack Leader and Titanic Growth in a close third or fourth, depending on, maybe what you see coming around the table and things like that.
Yeah, and at this point, it really is color preference because you have a reasonable, like 2 reasonable red cards, a serviceable black card, a good blue card, and an okay green card. So the fact that there's like basically, well, there's no white cards, Angel Pussy is basically almost stone cold unplayable. But like the fact that you have 4 of the 5 colors there's still reasonable picks in here. At this point, you would just take it based off what colors your deck is.
Okay, well, I think that's all there is to talk about our third pack. We didn't actually open any, stone cold nuts first turn picks and would windmill slam this guy, but at the same time that makes it a little more interesting. If you open up a Sublime Archangel or the Hellkite or the Thundermaw guy, or Thragtusk, where you're just like, that's my first pick.
Yeah, I don't think there's any card. Yeah, there's no card I would take it over any of those rares. Like there may be, like in M12, there may have been an argument for maybe taking Mind Control over like one of the crazy rares, but the fact that it's switcheroo now and not Mind Control means that, yeah, I'm pretty sure if you open one of those like really strong rares, there's no way you would take any common or uncommon over it.
So, and I guess in that case, that made these videos a little more interesting. We were looking at, making picks over commons and uncommons that we were looking at, making a little harder choices rather than those, oh, well, there's no question about my pick. So we hope you enjoy these videos and you keep tuning in to all our videos. We like making them and we want to keep making them as long as people keep watching them. So thanks again for watching, everybody.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Remember to like us on Facebook and check us out at playgamegrid.com.
Thanks. Have a good night.